Invited the people. Another time will come. Basically, me, five, another five will come clemency. Okay. So 18 you may get up. Okay. So only one request. Send them a message. Huh? I came and made a person
Venkat, Arambe.
Wherever you are comfortable.
Sarvesham Krite Swagatam. Adya Shubhadinam. Professor KV Sharma Research Foundation iti atra prasiddha Granthalayah Shodha Samsthapi. Anantram Samskrit Promotion Foundation Samskrita Samvardhana Pratishtanam iti. Dvayoho samsthayoho melanena vayamekam brihat project ekam pariyojanam swikurmah. Tasya udghatanam adya bhavishyati iti sudhanam. Jeshthana margadarshanena vayam kurmah iti. Professor MD Srinivas Mahodayah, Dr. Kiran Saluja Mahodayah, Dvayoho Margadarshanena etat project agre agre bhavishyati. Tasya udghatana satrartham adya vayam sarve sammilitaah sarvesham swagatam. Adau prarthanaya vayam etasya satrasya sadarambham karishyamah. Prarthanam kartum agacchati Samskrit Promotion Foundation ityasya karyakarta Shri Venkata Krishna Mahodaya.
Ya kundendu tusharahara dhavala, ya shubhavastra ya veena varadanda manditakara, ya shveta padmasana, ya brahmachuta shankara prabhutivi devai sada vandita. Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Vishesha Jadyapaha Shuklam Brahma Vichara Sara Paramam Adyam Jagat Vyapini Veena Pustakadharini Abhayada Jadyandhakara Haste Sphatikamadikam vidadhati Padmasane samsthitam वन्दे तां परमेश्वरीं भगवतीं बुद्धिप्रदां शारदाम्। इदानीं गणितस्य एक मङ्गलाचरणश्लोकः प्रार्थनारूपेण उत्पादकं यत् प्रवदन्ति बुद्धेः अधिष्ठितं सत्पुरुषेण सांख्याः व्यक्तस्य कृत्स्नस्य तदेकबीजम् अव्यक्तमीशं गणितं च वन्दे।
समये माता दीपज्वालनमपि करोतु। दीपस्य ज्वालनं अश्वति दीपज्वालनं।
श्री गणेश चरणं गजानन श्री गणेश शरणं गजानन श्री गणेश गजानन श्री गणेश चरणं गजानन देवमुनिवपणियुं दयाकर श्री गणेश शरणं गजानन देवमुनिवपणियुं दयाकर श्री गणेश शरणं நாகாபரணனே நான்மறை போற்றும் நாகாபரணனே நான்மறை போற்றும் நாமனே பிரணவ ரூபனே ஜய நாகாபரணனே நான்மறை போற்றும் நாமனே பிரணவ ரூபனே ஜய श्री गणेश शरणं गजानन देवमुनिवपणियुं दयाकर श्री गणेश शरणं पादं नम रामदास वरदने पादं नम रामदास वरदने मोदक प्रियने गौरी सुतने ஆதிதேவன் உனது இன்னருள் இல்லையேல் வேதனும் மாலும் செய்தொழிலுண்டோ ஆதிதேவன் உனது இன்னருள் இல்லையேல் வேதனும் மாலும் செய்தொழிலுண்டோ श्री गणेश चरणं गजानन देवमुनिवपणियुं दयाकर श्री गणेश चरणं चरणं चरणं
धन्यवादः वेंकटकृष्ण महोदय। अधुना अत्र सम्मिलिताः वयं सर्वे सर्वेषां कृते स्वागतं व्याहरामि। चेन्नै नगरे एषः कार्यक्रमः बहुकालपूर्वमेव निश्चितः एतादृश IKS प्राजेक्ट् करणीयमिति, परन्तु अस्य उद्घाटनसत्रम् इति ह्यः एव निश्चितमासीत्। ह्यः एव वयम् एकलघुसत्रस्य आरम्भं कृत्वा अनन्तरम् एतस्य मङ्गलकार्यस्य शुभारम्भं कृत्वा अग्रे नयामः इति। एतावता स्वल्पकालेन एव एतावन्तः भवन्तः सर्वे आगताः इति अस्माकं सौहार्दं सूचयति। अतः भवतां सर्वेषां कृतेपि स्वागतम्। अस्माकं मार्गदर्शकरूपेण उपस्थितः अस्ति प्रोफेसर् MD श्रीनिवास महोदयः। भारतीय गणितस्य विषये महोदयस्य परिचयः अनावश्यकः, सूर्यस्य परिचयः इव। अतः तावद् कार्यं साधितवान्, साधयन् अस्ति, मार्गदर्शनमपि कुर्वन् अस्ति, अद्भुतपरम्पराणां निर्माणमपि कुर्वन् अस्ति महोदयः। महोदयस्य मार्गदर्शनेन चेन्नै मध्येपि गणितस्य समुचितः गणः उत्तमं कार्यं साधयन् अस्ति। अग्रे अपि साधयिष्यामः इति अस्माकं विश्वासः। अनन्तरं Zoom लिंक अन्तर्जालमाध्यमेन अद्य संस्कृत प्रमोशन फाउंडेशन इत्यस्य निदेशकः डायरेक्टर डॉक्टर किरण सलूजा महोदयः अस्माभिः सह भविष्यति। आम् अस्ति, महोदयस्य अपि मार्गदर्शनं भविष्यति। अनन्तरं युवगणाः अनेके, विशिष्य मद्रास् IIT मध्ये डॉक्टर आदित्य कुलोचन महोदयस्य मार्गदर्शनेन केचन युवकाः तत्र PhD शोधसंस्था कार्यं पुनः लघु लघु परियोजना कार्यं कुर्वन्तः सन्ति। तेषां कृते अपि अस्माकं स्वागतम्। अस्माकम् आह्वानं स्वीकृत्य संस्कृतभारतीतः अनन्तरं पर्सनल इन्विटेशन् इति वयं वदामः किल, येषाम् एतादृश प्राजेक्ट् मध्ये अभिरुचिः अस्ति ते अपि सम्मिलिताः सन्ति। भुवना भगिनी अस्ति, सन्तोष महोदय संस्कृतभारतीतः, इतरे अपि केचन युवानः, तेषां सर्वेषां कृते स्वागतं व्याहरामि। अधुना अस्य कार्यस्य कृते मुख्य हेतुभूतं यन्त्ररूपेण अस्ति एक स्कैनर इति। प्राचीन ग्रन्थानां स्कैनिंग कृत्वा तेषाम् एक समुचित रक्षणं डिजिटलैस् रीत्या वयं कुर्मः इति वस्तुतः अस्य मुख्यं कार्यम्। एतस्य विवरणं श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहन महोदय दास्यति। ततः पूर्वम् अस्य यन्त्रस्य पूजारूपेण एक साङ्केतिकरूपेण तस्य वयम् एक प्रार्थनया आरम्भं कुर्मः। सर्वे मिलित्वा वदामः। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
श्रीराम आगच्छतु। राम
ज्योतिषाम् अयनं चक्षुः इति ज्योतिषशास्त्रस्य स्थानं चक्षुषः स्थानमिव। अतः अत्यन्तं प्रधानभूतं कार्यं तस्य कार्यस्य विवरणं दास्यति श्रीमान् लक्ष्मी नरसिंहन महोदयः। संस्कृत प्रमोशन फाउंडेशन इत्यस्य क्रियान्वयन स्वरूपे एग्जीक्यूटिव इति वयं वदामः कार्यपालकः महोदयः मार्गदर्शनं करोतु इति प्रार्थयामि।
सर्वेषां कृते नमस्कारः। सामान्य उत्थाय वदामि, परन्तु अद्य जूम मध्ये अपि अस्ति इति कारणेन केमरा पुरतः उपविश्य वदामि चेदेव सम्यक् भवति इति कारणेन भवन्तः सर्वेषाम् अनुमतिं स्वीकृत्य शान्तिकिरण सलूजा महोदयाय नमोस्तु। MD श्रीनिवास महोदयाय नमस्कारः। अन्ये ये जनाः अत्र उपस्थिताः सर्वेषां कृते नमस्कारः। अन्तर्जालमाध्यमेन संस्कृत संवर्धन प्रतिष्ठानस्य अन्य कार्यालयेभ्यः ये अत्र संयोजिताः सर्वेषां कृते स्वागतं नमस्कारः च। वयम् इदानीं संस्कृत संवर्धन प्रतिष्ठाने एकं तु कार्यं ONGC परियोजना रूपेण पाठ्यक्रम निर्माणं कार्यं प्रचलति। तत्र वयं पूर्वमेव योग, आयुर्वेद, वास्तुशास्त्र, ज्योतिषशास्त्र शिल्पशास्त्र, नाट्यशास्त्र, संगीतशास्त्र, अनन्तरं गणितम् इत्यादि विषयेषु वयं पूर्वं पाठ्यक्रमान् निर्मितवन्तः। अस्मिन् चक्रे चतुर्थे भागे रसायनशास्त्रस्य, अनन्तरं पशु आयुर्वेदस्य, वृक्षायुर्वेदस्य, कृषि आयुर्वेदस्य, रसायनशास्त्रस्य, भारतीयगणितस्य एतेषु विषयेषु इदानीं पाठ्यक्रमनिर्माणकार्यं प्रचलति एव। तेन क्रमेण एव तत्र एव अध्यापकप्रशिक्षणम् इति महत्त्वपूर्णकार्यमपि प्रचलति। तत्र संस्कृतशिक्षकाः संस्कृतमाध्यमेन एव कथं वा पाठयेयुः, तदर्थं संस्कृतशिक्षकाणां भाषारूपेण अपि च सिद्धान्तरूपेण अपि च सिद्धान्तस्यापि वयं पाठनं, तत्र वयं ट्रेनिंग कंटिन्यूअस प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट CPD इति यस्य उल्लेखः NEP 2020 मध्ये कृतं वर्तते। तेन आधारेण भारते प्रायशः फर्स्ट NEP 2020 बेस्ड CPD ट्रेनिंग वयं दत्वा समापितवन्तः। 50 जनानां SCRT दिल्ली, 150 शिक्षकाणां विद्याभारती संस्थायाः भारते विद्यमान सर्वप्रान्तेभ्यः आगतेभ्यः आहत्य 200 जनानां कृते प्रायशः संस्कृत संवर्धन प्रतिष्ठानमेव एतादृश काचित् संस्था स्यात् यत् NEP इत्यस्य तुरन्त तत्र क्रियान्वयनं कृतवती इति एषा संस्था भवति। तृतीयं रिसर्च कार्यं प्रचलति। तत्रैव भारतीय गणितस्यापि अन्तर्भूतं, भारतीय शिक्षाशास्त्रस्य विषये तत्र प्रचलति। अनन्तरं वयम् एतादृश भाषारूपेण शिक्षणकार्याणि वयं कुर्वन्तः स्मः। तत्र द्वितीय एक प्रोजेक्ट इन्फोसिस द्वारा प्राप्तमासीत्। तत् कंसर्वेशन ऑफ मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स एट सरस्वती भवन लाइब्रेरी एट वाराणसी। भारते प्रप्रथमं मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट कलेक्शन इति आसीत् चेत् तद् वाराणस्यां सरस्वती भवन लाइब्रेरी मध्ये एव कृतं। स्वतन्त्रात् बहु पूर्वं, when the British were there, they brought the teak wood from Burma and 20 feet racks, एतादृश racks 20 feet racks सन्ति। बहु उत्तमरूपेण यथा मन्दिराणां निर्माणं भवति तथैव पत्थर बिल्डिंग, it is all done by granite stones, so very beautifully constructed। तत्र तस्य संरक्षण कार्यं प्रचलति इन्फोसिस द्वारा। तृतीय प्रोजेक्ट अस्ति IKS द्वारा वयं मुख्यभूत लाइब्रेरी द्वयं संस्कृत विषये रिसर्च कार्यम् इदानीं सामान्य रूपेण भिन्न भिन्न ग्रन्थेषु दर्शनेषु वेरी लिमिटेड एतादृश षड् दर्शनेषु, अनन्तरं व्याकरणशास्त्रे, दर्शने इत्यादि मात्रमेव इदानीं प्रचलति, ग्रन्थानां कंपैरेटिव स्टडीज इत्येव। परन्तु यत् इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम मध्ये उपलब्धमान ग्रन्थाः सन्ति तेषां स्पर्शनमपि न भवति। उदाहरणार्थम् अत्र KV Sarma, Professor KV Sarma collected so many mathematical manuscripts across the country and also mainly from Kerala, and he started doing critical edition of many of those texts. Like KV Sharma Research Foundation, there are many research institutes where these books are available, manuscripts are available. परन्तु तेषां वास्तविक क्रिटिकल एडिशन तेषां करणीयमस्ति। परन्तु तदर्थं रसायनशास्त्रस्य ज्ञानं, गणितस्य ज्ञानं, तत्तत् विषयसम्बन्धज्ञानम् अपेक्षितमस्ति। परन्तु ते इदानीं संस्कृतं न पठन्ति। ये संस्कृतं पठन्ति ते तत् शास्त्रं न पठन्ति इति कारणेन देयर इज अ डिस्कनेक्ट। तस्य कनेक्शन निमित्तमेव संस्कृत संवर्धन प्रतिष्ठानं कार्यं करोति। अस्माकं सर्वविध संस्कृत फॉर स्पेसिफिक पर्पस इति या योजना अस्ति, तत्र वी कनेक्ट संस्कृतिस्ट टू द नॉलेज सिस्टम्स and we connect the people who are already studying in places like IIT and the IISc etc. We connect them to Sanskrit in their area of specialization. So as a natural second step to that, we are now digitizing these the rare books, rare collections available across the country in these libraries. KV Sarma Research Foundation इति कदाचित् बहवः चेन्नई मध्ये विद्यमान शोधछात्राः न जानन्ति। कारणं किम्? एतादृश ग्रन्थाः अत्र सन्ति इति तेषाम् अध्यापकः वदति चेदेव ते जानन्ति। This place should be often visited अत्र न्यूनातिन्यूनं दशछात्राः निरन्तरं रिसर्च् कुर्वन्ति इति योग्यं स्थानम्। अतः एतादृशम् अपि करणीयम् इति मत्या वयम् एतादृश IKS मध्ये वयम् एक प्राजेक्ट् द्वयं स्थापितवन्तः. One was for KV Sarma Research Foundation at Chennai, and the other library was at Ganganatja campus, which is at the Central Samskrit University. That is a central research place. That is a research center. All the students of Central Samskrit University across the 12-13 campuses across the country, they will have to come there for the research work. Tatra vayam tadapi eka bahu prasiddha kendramasti. Very rare books are also there. So we have taken up that work also. So in the next 2 years, we will be digitizing these two centers. Similarly, we have developed an application called e-Bharati Sampat in association with the Samskrit universities and Samskrit Bharati, which is fundamentally a e-library. But this e-library has an additional feature which makes it a very interesting one. It has a collaborative feature where the books are available and the student can sit anywhere and proofread the book with respect to the scanned book. Now, archive.org contains a huge corpus of scanned material, but it is all OCR is done, but it is not proofread. The content cannot be used. The content is garbled many times. The matter which is very essential, for example, in the form of equations, or the one which is the shloka, is not proofread, so they are not able to use it. Our platform e-Bharati Sampat provides the facility to see the PDF original book, and you can edit. You have a small editor which is facilitated over the internet, web-based editor, where you can format the book and now proofread the book and keep it ready in such a way that it can be useful. This will facilitate the PDF can also be a manuscript. The PDF can also be a very critical edition of some book which is not yet done nor translated, which is available only in, for example, there are many books on Indian mathematics which is available only in the Samskrita Lipi, Hindi, Malayalam Lipi. And these things can be very easily be done with our collaborative platform. So with this small introductory, our aim was, we submitted this proposal to IKS department. They were kind enough to give us this opportunity, and I'm very confident that this is a first step towards a big bang, which probably Samskrit Bharati, Samskrit Samvardhana Pratishthan, Central Samskrit University, National Samskrit University, and all the Samskrit universities departments across the country will be probably editing these many hundreds and hundreds of such very rare books which are already available before the people who can probably comment on it, or they go to the next world. So now there are very few people available, and by that time we should take it on a war footing, and we must do this. With this introductory words, I thank Professor KV Sharma Foundation's authorities for giving us an opportunity to be of service in this great yajna and making probably the work which we do more purposeful. All of us work, all of us spend time, but some of our activities are carried forward for next few generations. And I am damn sure that this one activity is going to help the future generation. Probably we have lost nearly 40 years. The internet came sometime in 90s, and it became more familiar. But the linguistic tools, the language tools, simple OCR tools are not available in Indian languages. That is a pity. How many IITs are there? How many NITs are there? How many engineering colleges are there? But we don't have. That is a pity. And there is no point in telling that it is not available. We will put one step ahead. We will start one small work, and we will attack one problem at a time. We will find a solution. And we have people who are ready to do this. Only thing which is required is we need to give them the platform and direction. And with this, mission, Samskrit Promotion Foundation works. And I will tell you, Samskrit Promotion Foundation average age of our employees is less than 30. So all our scholars, we have done nearly 50-60 courses. All of them are online. And all our, we have a small team of IT, and they do it. They have developed this collaborative platform. It is not a rocket science, but it is not available. It was not available previously. So, but we have we when we hit a a roadblock, we find a solution, and that solution is good enough for us to carry us forward. So, with this introductory words, I thank every one of you who have come here and have given me the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
धन्यवादः लक्ष्मी नरसिंह महोदय। अग्रे अस्माकं निदेशकः डॉक्टर चांदगिरी सलूजा महोदयः अस्माभिः सह अन्तर्जालमाध्यमेन महोदयः देहल्यां संस्कृत प्रमोशन फाउंडेशन कार्यालयः तत्र अस्ति ततः महोदय अस्मान् सम्बोधयतु इति प्रार्थयामि। नमस्कारः।
महोदय अनम्यूट करणीयम्, अनम्यूट कुर्वन्तु चांदकिरण जी।
धन्यवादः। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः। सम्मान्य एमडी श्रीनिवासन जी, लक्ष्मी जी, पृष्ठे अश्वती अपि उपविष्टा अस्ति, मोहन जी, सर्वेषां कृते मम सादरं नमस्कारः। कार्यकर्तारः अपि अधुना कार्यं करिष्यन्ति, येषां चयनं वयं साक्षात् द्वारा कृतवन्तः, ते अपि अत्र उपस्थिताः सन्ति। किञ्चित् भवन्तः अपि ज्ञास्यन्ति अस्माकं मनसि किम् अस्ति। अस्माकं कृते इदं कार्यं केवलं शृङ्गारस्य कार्यं न। This work is not only शृङ्गार for us. अहं स्मरामि यदा संस्कृत संवर्धन प्रतिष्ठानस्य स्थापना कृता आसीत् प्रायः 2009-10 मध्ये, तस्मिन् काले अपि अस्माकम् अवधानं तत्रैव आसीत् कथं संशोधनस्य प्रक्रिया भारते परिवर्तिता भवेत् इति। कारणं स्पष्टमपि आसीत्। ग्रन्थाः सन्ति। अहं किञ्चित् अधुना राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति 2020 द्वारा यत् किञ्चित् उक्तं किञ्चित् पठिष्यामि अपि। भारते यदपि ज्ञानम् अस्ति तत् ज्ञानं सामान्यं न अस्ति, परन्तु जनाः संस्कृतं न जानन्ति, तस्मात् कारणात् ते न पठन्ति। पुनः संस्कृतं केवलं पुरातनी भाषा इति उक्त्वा शान्तः भवन्ति। अहमपि वदामि संस्कृत is ancient language, but in its time, but for the result it is a future oriented language. ये भविष्य की भाषा है। अहं केवलं न वदामि, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति अपि अधुना वदति। अनेके जनाः उक्तवन्तः। सर्वप्रथमं वयं संशोधनं कृतवन्तः संस्कृतस्य स्वरूपं कथम् अस्ति। What is the nature of संस्कृत? संस्कृत का स्वरूप है क्या? तत् विज्ञाय एव वयं पुस्तकानां निर्माणं कृतवन्तः। अर्थात् प्रारम्भ एव संशोधनात् अभवत् इति। माननीय लक्ष्मी महोदयेन विस्तरेण तत्र उक्तमपि अस्ति अस्माभिः किं किं कृतम्। अतएव अहं तत्र तस्य पृष्ठपोषणं न करोमि, केवलं संकेतं दत्तवान्। अस्माकं कार्यस्य आरम्भः एव संशोधनात् अभवत्। अधुना वयमिदमपि जानीमः, सम्पूर्ण राष्ट्रे एकस्य शब्दस्य प्रचलनम् अस्ति। IKS, इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम, भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा। शिक्षा नीतौ अपि पुनः पुनः अस्य शब्दस्य प्रयोगः कृतः अस्ति। शिक्षा नीति अपि वदति कि अस्माकम् आधारः भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा एव अस्ति। कारणमपि स्पष्टीकरोति, यतः अस्माकं संपूर्ण ज्ञानस्य आधारः तत्रैव अस्ति। वयं द्रक्ष्यामः, यदि वयं पठामः यत् किञ्चित् पर्यावरण संदर्भे उक्तम् अस्ति। एमडी श्रीनिवास महोदय वदिष्यति संभवतः गणित विषये यत् किञ्चित् तत् उक्तम् अस्ति। सर्वत्र वयं पश्यामः, और विशेष रूपेण तो हम भाषा क्षेत्रमपि जानामि। यथा पाणिनिः व्याकरणं लिखितवान् अथवा यथा भर्तृहरि महोदयः वाक्यपदीयं लिखितवान्, कियत् सुंदर रूपेण भाषाया परिभाषा एवं भाषाया प्रयोगः कथं केन प्रकारेण क्रियते तस्य एक केवलं वयं संकेतं प्राप्नुमः, परन्तु जनाः न पठन्ति। अहं जानामि भाषा संदर्भे अधुना साइकोलिंग्विस्टिक्स मनोभाषिकी बहु प्रसिद्धः विषयः अस्ति। और मैं कहता हूँ पाणिनि पतंजलि जी का भर्तृहरि जी का वाक्य पदीयम पढ़ लीजिए तो समझ आ जाएगा भाषा मनोविज्ञान क्या है, मनोभाषा की किम अस्ति। एवं सोशियो लिंग्विस्टिक समाज भाषा की प्रसिद्ध विषय। एक बार यदि पतंजलि जी का पढ़ लिया जाए महाभाष्य तो पता लगेगा समाज और भाषा का संबंध क्या है। वयं जानीमः संस्कृतस्य संपूर्ण उच्चारण प्रक्रिया भारते तत्र अस्ति एव। भिन्न जनाः सन्ति, भिन्न भिन्न रूपेण वदन्ति, परंतु प्राचीन जनाः जानन्ति स्म। हमारे पुराने लोग जानते थे यह बात उठेगी, इसलिए शिक्षा ग्रंथ भी लिख डाले ताकि उच्चारण को समान रूप से लाया जाए। जना न जानन्ति न पठन्ति न प्रयासं कुर्वन्ति भिन्न वार्ता, परंतु तत्रापि ते लिखितवन्तः शिक्षा ग्रन्थः संपूर्ण भारते संस्कृतस्य पठनस्य प्रक्रिया समाना भवेत्। लघु ग्रन्थः परंतु मूलतः संशोधनस्य ग्रन्थः। कैसे उन्होंने जाना अकु विसर्जनिया नाम कंठा हेचु यशा नाम तालु, ये सामान्य बात नहीं है। मैं तो यह भी कहा करता हूं संस्कृत से प्रत्येकम श्लोक विज्ञान से श्लोक। एकम उदाहरण हम प्राय यच्छामि। नमन्ति फलिनो वृक्षः नमन्ति गुणिनो जनः। फल वाले वृक्ष झुकते हैं, गुणी लोग झुकते हैं। ये सामान्य कथन नहीं है। न जाने कितने वर्षों का, अब न जानामि कति वर्षाणाम अनुभव अस्ति तत्पश्चादिदं वाक्यम अस्ति। अर्थात एषः तु सिद्धान्तः अस्ति, मूलतः विज्ञानस्य प्रक्रिया एव सिद्धान्तः वर्तते। एवं न जाने कति बिन्दवः सन्ति। इदमेव कारणमस्ति राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीतेः यानि कथनानि सन्ति। यथा अहं किञ्चित् पठामि अनुच्छेदद्वयं त्रयं वयं संकेतं प्राप्स्यामः। There was a draft of 2019 of our राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति। तत्पश्चात् संक्षेपेण आगता आसीत्, तत्र प्रारूपम् आगतम् आसीत्, परन्तु मूलतः 2019 मध्ये यत् आसीत् तत् लिखितमस्ति। ते लिखन्ति the Indian education system produced scholars like Chadak and Suchrota, Aryabhat, Bhaskaracharya, Chanakya, Patanjali and Panini and numerous others. They made seminal contribution to the world knowledge in diverse fields such as mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, medical science and surgery, civil engineering and architecture, shipbuilding and navigation, yoga, fine arts, chess and more. Buddhism and its strong influence on the world, particularly in Southeast Asia and especially so in China, prompted Hu Shi, the former ambassador of China to the United States of America, to say, India conquered and dominated China culturally for 20 centuries without ever having to send a single soldier across the border. Education in India was only enriched through the mixing of cultures that arose from the very first invasions till the arrival of the British. The country has absorbed many of these influences and blended them into unique culture of its own. And the important thing, what I am going to read, culturally, India has been and continues to be a cradle of great diversity in all walks of life, with its many languages and dialects, with as many as even classical dance forms and 2 classical music forms. Many well-developed traditions of folk arts in the music, pottery, sculptures and bronzes, architecture, incredible cuisine, fabular textiles of all kinds and so much. और कितना मजेदार, जिसके लिए मैंने विशेष रूप से ये वाक्य पढ़ा, वो कहता है, these rich legacies to world heritage must not only be nurtured and preserved for posterity, but also enhanced and put to a new use through our education system. इसलिए शिक्षा नीति में लिखते हैं, इनका संरक्षण ही नहीं किया जाए, हमारे युवकों को इसके बारे में पता होना चाहिए। अस्माकं युवका जानीयुः तत्पश्चात् संशोधनं कुर्युः। मित्राणि भवन्तः किंचित आश्चर्यम् अनुभविष्यन्ति। भारतस्य शिक्षण पद्धति तथा नासीत् तथा अद्य अस्ति। अस्माकं शिक्षण पद्धति एव संशोधनस्य पद्धतिः आसीत्। प्रमाणं किं? तैत्तिरीय उपनिषत् पश्यामः, तत् लिखितमस्ति आचार्यो पूर्वरूपम् अन्तेवासी उत्तररूपम् विद्या संधिः और तत्पश्चात् अस्ति प्रवचनम संधानम। संधानम अर्थात खोज गवेषणा, जिसके बाद अनुसंधान बना है। संधान होगा तो अनुसंधान बनेगा। कियत् सुंदर रूपेण हम चिन्तयामि। तत् दृष्ट्वा यदि वयं पश्यामः अस्याः योजनायाः या योजना अस्माभिः स्वीकृता अस्ति अद्भुत तत्र महत्वं वर्तते। शिक्षा नीतौ SDG 4 मध्ये सर्वत्र गुणवत्ता शिक्षा क्वालिटेटिव एजुकेशन संदर्भे चर्चा अस्ति। और ये क्वालिटेटिव एजुकेशन है क्या? विश्वविद्यालयानां कृते विशेष रूपेण रिसर्च ओरिएंटेड, शोध ओरिएंटेड, बहु स्पष्ट रूपेण तत् लिखितम् अस्ति यत् विश्वविद्यालयानां शिक्षा मूलतः नॉलेज क्रिएशन। भवन्तः जानन्ति संभवतः 14 chapters of our new education policy or the national education policy, it is only National Research Foundation. इसने एक नया संस्थान बनाने का अनुमोदन किया है। नूतन से संस्थान से निर्माण से चर्चा करोति एषा नीति नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन। और कहना था कि हमारा कार्य मूल रूप से ज्ञान का निर्माण है। प्राचीन भारत में ज्ञान का निर्माण किया था, परंतु अद्य विश्वविद्यालयेषु यदा PhD अस्ति भवन्तः समता जानन्ति कथं PhD क्रियते। हमारे पास ज्ञान का भंडार तो है, परंतु संरक्षित नहीं, लोग पढ़ते नहीं। तदधिकृत्य एव संस्कृत प्रमोशन फाउंडेशन पुनः KV शर्मा उभयोः संस्थानयोः समानम् एव लक्ष्यम् अस्ति कथं प्राचीन ज्ञानस्य संरक्षणं भवेत्, जनः पठेयुः, नॉलेज क्रिएशन भवेत्, रिसर्च भवेत्। तत्र objective of that National Research Foundation is very clearly said in Shiksha Nitau: catalyze and energize research and innovation across the country in all academic disciplines with a special focus on sending and growing research at universities and colleges. Create a conducive ecosystem for research through competitive peer-reviewed funding, mentoring and facilitate. अहं चिन्तयामि वयं सम्पूर्ण परिदृश्यं पश्यामः। अस्माकं पुरतः स्पष्टमेव भवति कापि संस्था भवेत् या अस्माकं प्राचीन ज्ञान भण्डारस्य भाण्डागारस्य संरक्षणं करिष्यति। तस्यां दिशायाम् एव संस्कृत प्रमोशन फाउंडेशन पुनश्च KV शर्मा फाउंडेशन इति कार्यं कुर्वत्यः स्तः। तया दृष्ट्या किंचित महत्वपूर्णम् इदं कार्यम् अस्ति। अहं चिन्तयामि यं किंचित समयम् एक अथवा निमेषद्वयम् अधिकं स्वीकृतवान्, परन्तु मम मनसि अनेके तादृशाः विचाराः आसन्। एक बिन्दु उक्त्वा पुनः समापयामि। अस्यां शिक्षा नीतौ एक अन्य बिन्दु बहु महत्वपूर्णम् अस्ति। बिन्दुद्वयम्। एकं तो वदति बच्चे केवल पढ़े ही नहीं, वो यह भी सीखे पढ़ा कैसे जाता है। Children should not only learn, they should also learn how to learn. अहं चिन्तयामि अस्माकं इदं कार्यं पाठयिष्यति कथं पठ्यते पाठ्यते वा। पुनः द्वितीय बिंदु शिक्षा नीतौ उस्ते मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच। भवन्तः यदि संस्कृतस्य भाष्याणि पश्यन्ति तत् एकस्य विषयस्य चर्चा न अस्ति। यदि अहम उच्चारणं पश्यामि संपूर्ण फिजियोलॉजी आगच्छति, अस्माकं शारीरिक संरचना आगच्छति, ध्वनि आगच्छति। ध्वनि मूलतः कस्य अस्ति? भौतिक शास्त्रस्य विषयः अस्ति। अनेन प्रकारेण सर्वे विषयाः तत्र आगच्छन्ति। इदमेव कारणमस्ति मल्लिना टीकायां सर्वे विषयाणां तत्र प्रायः स्पष्टीकरणं भवति। यदा श्लोकस्य अथवा कस्यापि बिन्दोः सह स्पष्टीकरणं करोति, व्याख्यानं यच्छति। अहं चिन्तयामि अनेन कार्येण अस्माकं प्राचीन भारतीय परंपरायाः संरक्षणमपि भविष्यति। जनाः पठिष्यन्ति, कथं वयं करिष्यामः तदपि वयं चिन्तयिष्यामः। अनेके उपायाः शिक्षा नीतौ अपि दत्ताः सन्ति। लेकिन मेरा मानना है हम सूचियां भी बनाएंगे और सूचियां विद्यार्थियों के पास होनी चाहिए। हम पश्यामि संपूर्ण संस्कृत विश्वविद्यालय लक्षाधिक पांडुलिपयः जनाः न जानन्ति, वर्गीकरण तथा नास्ति, क्लासिफिकेशन तथा नास्ति। और मुझे तो यह लगता है हमारे विश्वविद्यालयों को चाहिए कि जो अध्यापक बनने वाले हैं नेट की परीक्षा में इन बातों को जोड़ें कि प्राचीन भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा का स्वरूप क्या रहा है, कौन से विषयों के कौन कौन से ग्रंथ हैं। हम चिंतयामि यदा भविष्यति न्यूनतया ते ज्ञास्यन्ति किंचित पठिष्यन्ति पुस्तकानां निर्माणमपि भविष्यति, जनः स्वाभाविक रूपेण ज्ञात्वा अग्रे पठितुं प्रेरिताः भविष्यन्ति इति अहं चिन्तयामि। अनेके अन्य उपायाः अपि सन्ति, वयं यदा यदा समयः गच्छति वयं चर्चां करिष्यामः, परन्तु प्रारंभिक स्तरे यत् किञ्चित् मम मनसि आसीत् अहम् अत्र उक्तवान्। महत्त्वं किम् अस्ति अस्य कार्यस्य अहं किञ्चित् संकेतं दत्तवान्, शिक्षा नीति दृष्ट्या कथं महत्त्वम् अस्ति तदपि उक्तवान्। सर्वेषां कृते सादरं नमस्कारः इति उक्त्वा अहं विरमामि। धन्यवादः।
धन्यवादः डॉक्टर चांद्रकिरण सलूजा महोदयः। कार्यक्रम महोदयस्य भाषणेन मलिनाथ व्याख्याने आर्यभटीयस्य 100 सहस्रम् अयुतं लक्षं प्रयुतं कोटिः अर्बुदं निर्बुदम् इति उल्लेखः अपि दृश्यते, तद् वयं स्मरामः। तथा एवं सर्वत्र गणितस्य प्रयोगः अस्ति। महावीराचार्यः वदति व्यापारस्तत्र सर्वत्र गणितेन विना नहि इति। अधुना एतस्य प्रोफेसर केवी शर्मा शोध संस्थानस्य उपाध्यक्षः वाइस प्रेसिडेंट रूपेण मार्गदर्शनं करोति श्री प्रोफेसर एम डी श्रीनिवास महोदयः अग्रे अस्माकं मार्गदर्शनं करोतु इति प्रार्थयामि।
भाषायां किञ्चित् क्रियते। A great pleasure that a new project is getting inaugurated today. This project is to digitize the collection of books of Professor K.V. Sharma, which have been preserved in this library over the next 2 years. And this project has been sanctioned by the new cell for study of Indian knowledge systems, which has been established in the All India Council for Technical Education. So there is a new but mild wind which is blowing in the country, that Indian knowledge, the various disciplines that constitute Indian knowledge, need to be studied, need to be taught, need to be researched upon, need to be applied in the public life of India. Something which should have begun 75 years ago is being started. Why is it that we have to, aren't we the bearers of Indian knowledge? Why do we think that we have to now study? Why do we think that we have to now research? So obviously there has been some great discontinuity that we have faced. And that discontinuity may be partially due to our own fault, but it was forced upon us. Till about 1,000 years ago, for instance, in Spain, a Muslim scholar is writing about what are all the countries in the world and who sort of are well known for various disciplines. So in that he says India is known as the land of wisdom, and everybody acknowledges that it's a great country as for its knowledge of calculation, knowledge of understanding of celestial motion, knowledge of health and cure of disease. And this he's ranking, he's saying, he's talking of the Chinese, the Baghdad sort of empire, and various other And that situation perhaps might not have prevailed till 17th, 18th century at that level. But whosoever came to India even in 17th, 18th century thought that this country had something to offer in every subject. And it was uniquely Indian. And perhaps most other what we call today as civilizations, etc., had their own flavor, their own knowledge till 17th, 18th century. So it's in the last 2 centuries, when we think that there has been tremendous growth of knowledge, there has also been a tremendous sort of dissipation or loss of knowledge, so to say, that while the modern West sort of progressed in different disciplines and also claimed universality about everything that it did and novelty about everything it did. And it has also claimed that we have surpassed what has been learnt by others all through in history earlier. Well, people can claim we might have also claimed like that maybe thousands of years ago. But they also actively saw to it that others don't achieve anything in the domain of knowledge, or if they have achieved something that is misrepresented, misquoted, misunderstood, or played down as being borrowed from somewhere. So there is this, what is called Indian knowledge, its understanding by us, is very colored by what has been called the modern scholarship about Indian. One is, there is Indian knowledge which is there in society, which was there amongst our scholars. Maybe some of them stopped reading older books, but there are many who continue studies of even those kinds. Even today, there are disciplines, linguistics, many other disciplines. We are continuing reading our older books, teaching them. There are maybe 5,000 students studying in Sanskrit university, and things like that. But our current understanding of Indian knowledge is colored by what is called the modern knowledge about India. And crudely, we can call it as Indology. It's not a good word. So if we were to assess what we knew about ourselves, it is somehow we have to all the time look around and see what others have said about us, or how do they understand. So they have established an overall narrative. And since in the last 150 years in our institutions of learning, we are teaching as modern knowledge various disciplines as they developed in the West. That we do, and perhaps do it fairly well. But we are also teaching about ourselves, largely a version of whatever has been compiled, understood, a narrative which has been created in the last 150 to 200 years. Though we often write in the preamble saying that all this was biased and they didn't understand. We all know that Macaulay said there's so many things that all of Indian knowledge is not worth what is there in a single shelf of library of European books. We know this. But we have not gone back to all those issues and created something that we can say is our own narrative. Maybe there is not a single narrative, there can be various issues at all. Till about 60, 70 years ago, it was not very clearly known how much of Greek mathematics or astronomy was created by the Greeks and how much of it went back to Egypt or Mesopotamia. And today, much more is known, and people do say that these are the things that they have taken, and things like that. So it is all right. There can be different narratives. What narrative we create today may get changed 50, 60 years later. But the absence of a narrative and repeating the narrative of modern Indology about India has created great problem of self-understanding in India and has made our society fairly dysfunctional in satisfying our own needs by our own ideas and our own ways. Okay, this long. Yeah. So Professor K.V. Sharma was not born to do all this work on sciences. He was born in Kerala in a Palghat Brahmin family, and he studied BSc. Then he was wanting to do masters in science, but some of his people said, your family is good in Sanskrit, so why don't you do that? So he went to do Sanskrit, and then it so happened that he first worked in a manuscript library, the Trivandrum Oriental Manuscripts Library. And being an inquisitive person, he realized a lot of works are there which are have not seen the light of the day. And then he happened to come to this Catalogus Catalogorum project in Madras University, which was again dealing with trying to list all the manuscripts that are there in the various libraries in the world. So in a short while of about 10 years, between 1950 to 1960, he became an authority, especially on what has been done in Indian mathematics, especially in the Kerala tradition after Madhava, etc. And the transformation that was brought about, maybe there have been few other scholars also associated with it, like Ramavarma Thampuran and Samba Shiva Shastri, Suranath Kunjan Pillai, various people. But what got done between, say, 1930 and 1960 transformed the way we understand mathematics or astronomy, how they developed in India. For instance, there is a book called Concise History of Indian Science. Today, if somebody is asked, why don't you tell us a textbook from where I can read about the development of science in India? What are India's contributions? So this was produced by Indian National Science Academy in 1971. Now, surprisingly, in that book, you will not find the name of Madhava. Now you will all be surprised, because today the name of Madhava has become a household name, like Aryabhata, Brahmagupta. We may not know what they have done, but so this was our state of understanding about our own development of science in India. And this got transformed due to work of various scholars, and today we claim that we know much more than all that. So this new movement, new wind that is blowing, though very softly and in a very mild manner, it should become such fragrance that it can change the atmosphere. So what needs to be done towards that? Because I'm sure all youngsters in India are keen to know what actually did we do, how did we do. So the job of various institutions and people who know something about it is to create opportunities that more and more people get to know about this. So how do people get to know about it? One is we lack the capacity to read older texts. We do not understand the language, or at least the technical part of the language in which they are written. Even if we look up a Malayalam book like Ganita Yukti Bhasha, a modern Malayalam student will find it difficult to read, though it is in Malayalam. And similarly for Sanskrit and other language books. So we are not teaching these languages, so we should teach them, etc. Then there are millions of texts which have not been published then. It so happens that at least some manuscripts were copied in the last century or the century before. They are still surviving, many of them surviving in our manuscript library, some of them still surviving perhaps in households. And we can make some rough estimates and things like that. So say as regards astronomy, mathematics, amongst the number of texts which, at least for which manuscripts seem to be available, is about 9,000. Let's say some rough estimate from various studies of K.V. Sharma and Pingree and others. So what it so happens that in the high period of Indology, 1800 to 1900, only about 20 got published or 30 got published. And once Indians started joining this, people like Sudhakar Dwivedi, people like Samba Shiva Shastri, Vibhuti Bhushan Datta, various people. So this became another 50, 60 works were done prior to independence. Now in the post-independence era, there was no systematic program in our universities to do this. But there were some national organizations which were encouraging, maybe Rashtriya Samskrit Samstha, maybe Indian National Science Academy. So another 200, 300 books have been published. So out of this 900, this is what has been published. But now publishing them is not enough. Huh? 9,000. Sorry. Only 450. So, but publishing them itself is not enough. I'll give you some examples. So the Bijaganita of Bhaskara was translated by Colebrooke in 1870. And he analyzed the thing. He also realized that something called this Varga Prakriti or quadratic indeterminate equation is a high point of Indian algebra, because this problem was solved in Europe only in later part of 18th century by Euler and Lagrange in 1770. Colebrooke is translating this in 1817, and Bhaskara's work is written in 1050. So that this problem is solved. But Colebrooke could not realize that this method in which it was solved was not what was discovered by Lagrange just 47 years ago. Colebrooke, after all, was not a mathematician who is trained at that level. But whatever he did was remarkable. But now, it was not for Indology to look into anything more. The issues Colebrooke was interested was, he wanted to know whether it was Indians who created algebra or the Arabs who created algebra. And for that he got an answer. And that was good enough for him. And that he translated and put all this material together is only because he was a meticulous scholar. But the issues that prompted him, they were not looking for some new mathematics from the Indian books. And many Indians perhaps did look into it. Nothing much happened. It was only in 1915, 16, 17 this issue arose. How do they compare? What is there in Bhaskara's book actually? And what is there in Lagrange's work? And by then, Lagrange's work had been taken much forward. There were mathematicians in India who were working on this in 1917, 18. And in Mysore University, one Krishna Swami Iyengar, who is a college teacher, Maharaja college teacher, his sons are very famous, of course. A.K. Ramanujan is worldwide known. Nobody knows about Krishna Swami Iyengar. So he looked at it, then he knew the mathematics of Lagrange, and he realized this was different. Then he said, which is better? And then he found out that what Indians were doing 1,000 years earlier was 30% better as an algorithm compared to what Europe had come up with in 18th century. Not only that, Europe had completely given a new name to that equation, name of one John Pell, who had nothing to do with that subject. And people who even write in 20th century the history of this subject, they write about John Pell, he was some British mathematician in 17th century. He did not work on this equation, but this equation is called Pell's equation. Of course, it was first considered by Brahmagupta and all that, solved by Bhaskara Jayadeva. But it's convenient that we can still continue with this name. So this is the sentence written by Andre Weil, a man who is considered a great Nobel laureate kind of person in mathematics. And so this will be the approach of the scholars outside India. So they will always say there's nothing new you can find in these books. So even if tomorrow Aditya or I go and edit some book and just produce the work, it may not prove anything to anyone unless we also explain what is contained in this book in relation to what was known in India earlier and in relation to what is supposedly known today. So this is a job that, so all these books, I can tell you, I mean, as I said, 450 books have been edited in mathematics and astronomy. Some 80, 90 are what have been translated. And even amongst them, maybe about 50 are what have been really translated apart and also looked into technically as to what is the material contained there. So again, I can give an example, I mean, just to tell you the situation in which we are in. So there is this Tantra Sangraha of Nilakantha Somayaji. So this book was known even in 1830s. It was talked about in 1930s, and it was published first in 1957. And but till 30, 40 years later, when some project was taken by Sriram and Ramasubramanian to study this book, in the very first chapter, in the 30th verse or something, Nilakanta is saying something which is unexpected, which is not stated at all. She is describing the motion of all these planets. Normally, in all these planets, the interior planets, that is Mercury and Venus, right at the beginning of any astronomy book, they say the mean motion of this is the same as the sun, because as you see from the Earth, Mercury and Venus keep moving just neighboring to sun. They don't cross more than 15, 20 degrees away from the sun. But Nilakanta is giving, the Indian mathematicians had another period called Shigrocha. And that period was 88 days for Mercury and 224 days for Venus, which is actually the period of their orbit around the sun. And Nilakanta is saying in the 30th verse of his book that these are their own rates of rotation for Mercury and Venus. So, and the commentator is saying what earlier people had talked about the relation of Shigrocha is not accepted by Nilakanta. He is saying this. So, if anybody could have taken up this book, which was published in 1957, and studied it for something, one could have seen that. So, this led to, various discoveries. KV Sharma himself wrote several papers, and all the various people. So, what I'm saying is, it doesn't prove anything, even if a book is published, if it is not studied, if it is not analyzed. So, a way in which we have to progress is that, one, the preamble that we are saying that the modern Western understanding about India is neither authentic, it is also not objective or fair. That we should keep in our mind in every, so it will be in the choice of the books that they study. It will be in the choice of the chapters that they want to. It will be in the choice of the quotations that they want to give. So they keep saying that Indians borrowed a great deal from the Greeks, etc. And if you want to say which of the Indian books are talking about the Greeks, then ultimately they all come down to only one quotation. And this is a quotation from Rahat Samhita Varamira, written in 570. What is it saying? Mlechahi Yavanaha. Teshu Samyak Shastramidam Sthitam. Mlechas are, of course, I'm sorry, Yavanahi Mlechaha. These Yavanas are, they don't speak Sanskrit, they use the other languages. But amongst them, this science is well studied. Rishivat te api pujyante. Therefore, even they will be respected as the wise men, rishis. Kim Kuna Brahmana Visha. So, of course, our own scholars, we should respect them even more. So, this one verse occurring in the second chapter, third chapter, is all that is stated. Of course, there are various references to Yavanacharyas, Yavana Jataka, and things like that, to Romaka Siddhanta. And we have to study what they actually contributed to the development of Indian astrology. But for actual Indian statements of this goes back only to this Rahaveda. And later on, in 17th century, this Nityananda is writing about the Yavana astronomy. There are many techniques there which we can learn. So, 1,100 years, there has been no such statement by any Indian scholar saying we should learn from outside. That need not surprise you. We are not a civilization who said others don't know anything. And we have all of their various quotations. So various quotations are there. So, but we never felt that we were very inferior in knowledge, that we have to completely translate the books of others or completely borrow theories, sort of what whole hog here. We always were open to taking ideas, and there are many ideas which we have taken, many techniques we have taken. But the documentation for that has not been done that way. The documentation in modern Indology is done in the reverse way. If something is found in an Indian book and it has been somewhere similar to this is found elsewhere, they always say it has been taken. And even further, even when nothing is available, especially in astronomy and mathematics, it is the statement of the modern scholarship is that they don't have any books between Euclid and Ptolemy. So something of Apollonius is there. So the statement is, if something is found in Indian book, and since Indian astronomy has been borrowed from the Greeks, this shows what would have been there before Ptolemy. And there's a famous statement of one of the major scholars in Greece, or the greatest contribution that we can find from the books of India, the classical Sanskrit books of Shastras, is the idea they give about the actual history of the Greek and Babylonian astronomy, because this borrowal has been all established as well there. So like this, what is the perspective, what is the choice of subject, what are the instances that they give? So all this has created a scholarship. This is not any big mountain. These are small sort of obstacles. If we start looking at our own books, maybe initially we will find sort of authenticate many of what modern Western scholars have done. But soon enough, we will start building a narrative, because they are concentrated only on few things and only on what has been borrowed by India, or what has been confused by India. We will start realizing, no, we had our own way of philosophical way of understanding how to do science and how to balance between what is written in an old book and what we see actually, and what an argument gives. These three pramanas, how do we balance them? We have a very different idea than the way it has been done in the West. And many ideas, many techniques, many concepts, many philosophical viewpoints we will find. And there will, of course, be a lot of conflict between different schools of philosophy in India, which also we will then understand that they still come under one larger framework. So doing this in each subject and teaching this would be a great enterprise. So for that, first, we have to preserve the material. Second, we have to make it available. Third, we have to create a team of scholars who start studying, and not only books, but also transcripts. Fourthly, we have to encourage people who are studying similar subjects in modern discipline, or doing research, or doing teaching on them, to at least devote 5%, 10% of whatever time they have to look into these things and start incorporating this. Initially, as maybe as a separate thing, but in overall time, we will produce an integrated system of knowledge in India, where this dichotomy between modern and ancient Indian will not be there. The way Chinese are thinking that by 2050, they will be re-establishing what China was before 1839 or whatever. So we can also think that they, as a leader of thought, as a leader of ideas, as a leader of knowledge, India will also get re-established. So this wind and all these efforts are very welcome, and we should all dedicate ourselves to do whatever small things we can do, keeping these two things in mind. As I said, the last word on anything has not been said. So the sources have to be looked into by ourselves. And there may be many, many more other things which we will find in the sources, about which nobody has talked about. And there may be new ways of new ideas which may come from this, which may take us into an entirely new direction. This is the way many other sort of non-Western civilizations who have started becoming active think about their past. The Japanese roughly have an idea like this, but their corpus of knowledge is nothing compared to what India had there, because a huge country which is produced. And similarly, I think people in other civilizations, be it in West Asia or be it in Southeast Asia, have a very similar idea. Only we in India want everything completely. We have become somewhat tired and lazy, so to say. And so we want a completely somebody else to look into all this and tell us what the whole thing. And so if for that we look towards the modern scholarship, I think we will be misguided. So we have to maybe ask our own children or our own brothers or our own parents to do, if we are tired to do this. So lastly, I'm very glad that Professor Sharma's correction will be done. I only want to request Sanskrit Promotion Foundation and authorities who they can talk to, that a larger documentation plan should be done. I mean, scanning, like printing a book, scanning is only one part of the thing. So if we can have an active documentation of because the modern scholarship is the problem. We should have complete documentation of what has been published in the last 100, 200 years on Indian knowledge in various domains. A proper listing, articles, books, etc. And another documentation of what are manuscripts which are there wherever available. And this should be procured and the list should be made and put on the web or wherever. And about this scanning, about 15, 20 years ago, Google started this scanning, and quite a bit of Indian material today is fortunately available to many of us on mostly outside sites like archive.org. But in now many Indian sites also have that. But most of them are very badly tagged, very badly catalogued. The title is written in 4 different ways so that you have to work out a way of searching for what is available on some site like archive.org and things like that. And half the time the scanning has been done very badly because these were projects given to various institutions by Google, and there was some Carnegie Mellon 1 million book project and things like that in 2007 and 8, where they sort of mass scanned books. Even the Rashtriya Samskrit Samsang Tirupati library has been scanned that way. So pages are scanned in different order, cut, and suddenly we realize the middle page is missing and things like that. So fortunately now there is some good technology available, and SPF has been able to convince the Indian Knowledge Center people to get a good scanner. So even those material which are available on archive.org, my suggestion is we go ahead and scan them and produce a good scan image so that will be a good thing. And the other thing they persuade both the Indian knowledge system self and also the ministry that some larger documentation of all the available scholars, all the available libraries, all the available bibliographies to be made, and even material collected in 1 or 2 or 3 places in different ways. And this is not a big job for government of India and organizations which are working on. I'm sorry I took too much time. Thank you very much for yes. Dr. D.K. Hari, Dr. Hema Hari, they have a program called Bharat Gyan, which is very famous. They are authors of a large number of books. They are great admirers and supporters of Professor K.V. Sharma. In his last days, in various ways and in various. They have been associated with maintaining this library, which is being maintained with a great difficulty. Perhaps K.V. Sharma himself carried these books first from Hoshiarpur to Chennai, then he was in one corner in Adyar, then he was in Theosophical Society, then he was in Gandhinagar, then finally he managed to rent 2 flats and put all this material. And he and his wife had about 1/4 of a flat. The rest of the space was their room. So now at least much of this material may be available. Some of it may be very new. Some of this may not be very relevant. But the collection of about 9,000 books and about 500, 600 manuscripts will make a beginning for Samskrit Promotion Foundation to make many more such projects. Now, this Dr. Hari.
Thank you, Dr. M.D. Srinivas, for giving the opportunity to speak here, and also to Dr. Kiran, Saluja ji, for supporting this project so well. As Dr. M.D. Srinivas said, we have had the good fortune of personally knowing Dr. Professor K.V. Sharma in his last decade of his life, and doing our bit as what we say here as kinchit karya. Little kids. So in our own small little way, that we have been fortunate is what we feel, and learned in the process some tidbits from them. And as the session that we listened to of Professor M.D. Srinivas, as usual, very detailed, enlightening. Not only that, he got into each specific so in a very measured, nice manner. These are things that you listen to, grasp, and take in and use. So for him to speak extempore for Professor M.D. Srinivas for well over 30-40 minutes. It shows what all he sort of taken in over decades of his the knowledge that he has learned and is sharing with everybody. So it's very important from that perspective, and glad this project has come up, and our institution of Professor K.V. Sarma Research Foundation has taken this up. Our best wishes to all the members of the project, and whatever small way we can be helpful to it, we'll be obviously glad to be helpful on this association. Thank you so much once again for giving us this opportunity.
Namaskar. I'll just add a few words which actually are just going to re-emphasize what Dr. MD has just said. See, digitization is just one aspect, and the purpose of this entire digitization is to be able to study this and take it forward to look for applications and to look for newer finds and newer ways of thinking or newer ways of even approaching how to solve, like he said, the 30% efficient way of solving equations. So these are, and that is actually our bigger challenge. By now, I think a lot of people scanning and digitizing has become very common, and many are doing it. But how do we get more people to be able to study this? And the bigger challenge is you need knowledge of Samskrit as well as the subject. So if it is maths, to be astute enough to pick up that Mercury is 88 days and Venus 22 or 224, unless somebody knows about astronomy, at the back, they wouldn't have picked up. So here we are, and our texts are very unique, that we have never separated and said this is astronomy and this is medicine and this is botany. We have clubbed everything together, and therefore it becomes necessary for people of every discipline to have access to each of these books and not to be able to segregate this. So the bigger challenge for IKS is actually how do you get them all to break this barrier and look at all the texts, irrespective of their discipline, because you never know which nugget, golden nugget is hiding in which text. And that is something that we all will have to collectively work towards as the next step. And I hope we can all make good progress there. Thank you so much. And elders like you, actually, you will be able to guide us and take us in the right direction.
If I may add a point, you see, what she said was very good. Was quite the Indian knowledge system is not compartmentalized.
Exactly.
It is intertwined, interdisciplinary, and integral. That itself is a mind shift change from what we look at from the Western perspective, and which are very, very departmentalized and compartmentalized. So that is itself is a mindset change that we're bringing, and say that it's got total connection across subjects. That's the beauty of it. And everything is interconnected. As I said yesterday, we're speaking as the subject about Yata Pinde Tata Brahmande. So it's all so intertwined, and we should recognize this and express this in science, that this knowledge system gives us intertwining. Thank you.
Okay, we're in for many pleasant surprises today. Ekam tu swagata karane api Shri D.K. Hari Mohodayah tasya sahadharmacharani वास्तविक सहधर्मचारिणी यतः पत्युः यत् कर्म कार्यं क्रियते तत्र माता अपि सहयोगं सहभागं सर्वं स्वीकरोति तयोः कृते अपि अस्माकं स्वागतम् अद्य अस्माकं प्रार्थनाम् अङ्गीकृत्य श्री नागराज महोदयः एतस्य गृहस्वामी महोदय अपि आगतः इति अस्माकमपि भाग्यं भवतां कृते अपि स्वागतं वेल्कम टू यू सर आल्सो फॉर दिस यतः पाणिनिसूत्रमस्ति आधारो अधिकरणम् इति अतः आधारः एषः महोदयस्य स्थानम् अतः एवमस्ति अनन्तरं we have another very surprising person surprise श्री दास महोदयः श्रीनिवास दास महोदयः दूरवाणीद्वारा विशेषतया उक्तवान् रामचन्द्रद्वारा अहमपि कानिचन वाक्यानि वक्तुम् इच्छामि इति महोदयस्य मार्गदर्शनेन लाभः गौरवान्विताः भवामः।
अस्ति वा?
लैन् मध्ये अस्ति महोदय। दास महोदयः अपि तस्य पत्नी ममता माता इति वयं सर्वदा वदामः। एतस्य केवी शर्मा फौण्डेशन् इत्यस्य केवी शर्मा महोदयात् परम् एतद् अग्रे नयनं यथा DK हरि महोदयस्य योगदानम् आसीत् तद्वत् दास महोदयस्य महान् भागः आसीत्, अस्ति अपि भविष्यति अपि, यथा तेषां स्थानं पदवी अपि समीचीनतया सदुपयोगं कृत्वा मार्गदर्शनं बहूनां परम्पराणां निर्माणं कृतवन्तः इति कारणेन महोदयः अधुना मार्गदर्शनं करोतु इति प्रार्थये।
नमो नमः। सर्वेभ्यो धन्यवादः अर्पयामि। महान् सन्तोषः, सर्वेपि तत्र उपस्थिताः। वयं तु न दृष्टम्, इदानीं यावत् अस्मिन् मासे वयं तत्र आगच्छामः। परन्तु पूर्वम् उक्तं भवद्भिः तत्र संरक्षणं सम्पादनम् इत्यादिकम् अधिकम् अपेक्षते। But my experience with the manuscripts is a very bad experience. We talk of editing and understanding or say translating our text, ancient text, and we are more interested in digitization. But for your kind information, there are more manuscripts, maybe some lakhs, which are not yet documented. They are not yet preserved properly. They are crying and they are also dying. We had a great vision of National Mission Manuscript to document and preserve our traditions, but we have not been able to complete. You know, with the great difficulties, we must know as Indians. And as Indians, I am talking, and I am talking to Sanskrit Foundation, Promotion Foundation, how to promote Sanskrit. So we must preserve first the Sanskrit resources. The ancient texts are our main resources through which we can only put off our complete Siddhantas. With all the texts which are edited so far are not complete. They need further editing, critical editions, including Mahabharata, Ramayana, or any text we see. It is reason is we do not get complete texts, manuscripts, which are referred. So we have completed 42 volumes at the University of Madras, that new catalog, which documents 2,000 libraries, manuscript preserved in all over the world. But it consists hardly 60%. 40% of manuscripts are not yet documented. The reasons are very well known because it is always handled by non-Sanskritists, so that they do not know why you need, because every time they question why you need so many, what is there in these manuscripts. So our aim is that we should, if we preserve our text completely, if we document properly first, then we can show that Indian knowledge system, how rich it was and how tradition was so vibrant that we had produced millions of manuscripts written in different scripts. That is the only language which is written in different scripts. So our aim should be to preserve all the text, not only to digitize, but also first to document. And you should have access to the manuscripts. And we have not been able to access manuscripts today. Whatever has been documented, whatever you are going to digitize is very meager, it's nothing. But there are more to be documented also. Unless we get documented all the things, and then only the digitization process will help us in editing the correct text. So Professor KV Sharma started his career, as you know, in the Orient Institute of Mysore, Trivandrum. Then he joined, actually he started his career from this Department of Sanskrit, Madras University in the NCC project. And you will believe or not, when I took the charge in 2000, he is the first person to insist and to give all encouragement that we should complete the NCC project first, because it has been running for last 70 years. So he was so much worried that it should be done. Though many people were against working NCC, but he was the only person who wanted me that you should do it. So anyway, it was his blessings. He's the only person who was dedicated and committed to the development of Sanskrit in true sense. He had no expectation, no promotion, no any award. But he was very much committed to preserve our tradition, moving from place to and collect the manuscripts and to preserve them and how best possible document and studies. He was working 24 hours. And thanks to Professor Srinivas and this Ram and our trio, Trimurtis and Ram Subramanyam, who brought this particular, who came in contact with him, and it was a, what you can say, it is a new discovery for him, and he was so happy that these people are working. And we felt so much happy that our knowledge system is in the best hand and it is transmitted in a best possible way. And they are the best people to give the judgment on Indian astronomy. Unfortunately, our English educated people ignore our knowledge system because they don't believe. They think Sanskrit is only for worship. But it is not, it is our challenge, duty, and we stand for it. If anybody had got to defend, what do you call that, our Siddhantas, we have only Siddhantas, not hypotheses. We stand by it. Anybody comes, we can give the correct answer. We must read properly. We must understand thoroughly, not to pass Sanskrit, only just to speak. But we must understand and translate, transmit to others in a correct, with the textual evidences. So that's why I can only cite Patanjali's sentence. All this, what we do, Vyakhyanuto Vishesha Pratipatti Nahi Sandehad Alakshana. There is nothing what cannot be understood, but we must have Vyakhyana, proper evidence, proper explanations, which is explained and started in our Sanskrit tradition. There is no tradition which you have commentaries after commentaries. So that is what should be our promotion. Then only Sanskrit we can promote. That will be the goal, that is the achievement. If we can preserve it, protect it, and transmit with evidences, with the textual evidences, we can prove that Indian knowledge system has no comparison, no parallel. It should be our goal that we must prove. That is only our objective should be to promote in the true sense, to make it Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We must utilize this knowledge system in present society, in present context, in all sciences. So that is all our goal, and it is all our, though unfortunately we are not present in Chennai, but still we are with it and we are trying to work, because here we have some other work. We'll be talking some other time. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you all to be there, and we are so happy that you have come there, and you are, but we have not seen the place. We are going to come soon, so that we'll be meeting sometimes. But our aim is still to work for Sanskrit and to promote it in the best manner, possible in our society. Thank you for giving this up. Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಮಹೋದಯ. इदानीम् अग्रे एतस्य कार्यक्रमस्य अत्र निमिषद्वयं
निमिषद्वयं भवान्
महोदयः वदतु इति यतः one of the youngsters who took up after doing IIM सः आगतः इति आदित्य महोदयः.
So, I mean, all scholars have spoken. I don't think I have much new to add. I'll just only say that we have a number of young scholars with us here today. So I think this event, has given you some idea of the background of where the situation was and who are some of the prominent people who are working, who have worked towards bringing forth our knowledge systems, our knowledge. So I will only say that I hope that this serves as an inspiration and that you will also dedicate at least part of your lives towards upholding our Jnana Parampara. That's all.
Thank you.
Well said.
And we will just introduce our team who are going to work here. I request Ashwati to come, friend. Atra agachadu. Ashwati will be the project coordinator for this, and she is basically from Trivandrum, Kerala, and she has been teaching in the Shankaracharya University, and she is working with Samskrit Promotion Foundation for the past 4 months, and she will be taking care of the project here.
PhD
in Sanskrit.
art.
She is also, she has been part of creating few films, Sanskrit films in Kerala, small films. And so she has also a good experience, and she will add more value to this project. Sriram Panda, Atra agachadu, atse puratah agachadu. Sriram Panda is he is now doing research in Sanskrit University, National Sanskrit University, Tirupati. This is his 2nd year into research. He is a Sankhya Yoga expert. He is working on Sankhya Yoga as his research topic. He is basically from Orissa, and he is currently doing his PhD in Tirupati. Devabrata Sardar is from Devabrata is from West Bengal. He has just completed his thesis on Vyakarana. He'll be awarded after his Viva. The PhD submission is almost in the final stages. He is also a student of National Sanskrit University, Tirupati, and he's a Vyakarana, and we'll be able to take this one in while we do this project. Sanskrit knowledge background is very, very important. And fortunately, we have a Malayali, we have 2 Sanskrit experts, which will be a great contribution to this project, which will facilitate the project. So we just select, God has been extremely kind in putting the right people in the right place. Thank you. Dhanyavada. Shriman Mohanji, Samapana, Atreo.
Mohan, किमपि वक्तुं शक्यते वा?
आमां वदतु माता.
Thus, I'm very happy to see it is just this library is the second home for me. I just welcome. My guests are there, but I'm not able to be there. Feel very happy to see you all, and it's exactly let us see that how the project is going on, how the digitization work is going on. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So welcome to our library. Thank you.
मातरं पश्यामः चेत् लौकिके वैदिके चापि इति भवत्याः गणितस्य आन्तम् इति पदं वयं सर्वदा स्मरामः. अस्तु माता. अस्तु. अन्यदेकं सुभाषितम् अस्मिन् प्रसङ्गे स्मरामि यत् बहवः अनेके युवकाः सन्ति इति कारणेन अस्माकं परम्परायाः रक्षणार्थं सर्वदा एकं सुभाषितं वदामः. वनानि दहनेः सखा भवति मारुतः स एव दीपनाशाय सखा कृषे कस्यास्ति सौहृदम्. The world will parley with you only when you are strong. Otherwise, it's the same wind which helps the fire in the forest will try to put off the wind in which is the lamp. So we had to switch off the fan. अतः यदि अस्माभिः धर्मस्य रक्षणं करणीयम् अस्माभिः शक्तिमद्भिः भवितव्यम्. तदर्थम् अस्माभिः अधिक समयः श्रमः सर्वं दातव्यम् इति ज्येष्ठानां वचनं पुरस्कृत्य वयम् अग्रे गच्छामः. अस्तु. इदानीं वयं समापयामः. शान्तिमन्त्रेण समापयामः.
एकवचनेन धन्यवादः वदतु.
सर्वे अपि अत्र समागताः. अतः सर्वेषां कृते धन्यवादान् समर्पयामि संस्कृत बान्धवाः सर्वे सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग्
भवेत्।
ॐ
शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
So between this scanner, what is that? Yeah,
सर्वेभ्यो नमस्कारः।
yeah, you are it.
He said you are.
Huh?